Good morning, and today we talk about the forthcoming UN conference. It's a two-day US peacekeeping summit which begins on November 14 and it begins in Vancouver. More than 80 countries and 50 defense ministers have so far confirmed their presence for this conference. And for this conference, since Canada is hosting it, Canadian government has made some proposals. Unfortunately, these proposals are in no way in sync with the UN priorities. Sometimes I do wonder what's happening. I can understand the politicians, being what they are, would be incapable of understanding the subtle nuances. But when the bureaucracy does not apply its mind and just carries out the dictates of the political masters without giving them the options, then I feel pity. Not for the bureaucracy, not for the politicians, but for the country as a whole, for you and me. Now you would say, quite possible, and I might agree with you, that the bureaucracy has presented the political leadership with a variety of options. And the political leaders have not exercised sufficient sense of discrimination or even common sense in selection of these options and have gone ahead with their crazy, harebrained, irrelevant ideas. Then I do feel sorry for the country that has elected these leaders to lead them. Now the talks which are to be held from November 14 are very relevant. But even before the talks are held, again, is putting the horse before the cart. Or to have first pledged up to 600 armed force personnel and 100 police officers for the global peace operations. That should have happened after the conference, not before the conference. And honestly speaking, even the UN officials, when we talk to them, revealed that they are not clear how the country will contribute. One official very quietly told me, it will be very awkward for anyone to host a ministerial meeting on key peacekeeping without having made a real contribution to peacekeeping. Now, undermark the word real. They are sending the army, they are sending the police force, they say we are maintaining peace, we are training people, but according to UN officials, there is no real contribution. And now more details of these proposals would be unveiled at the time of conference which begins. But let's see, the biggest problem with Canada is there's launching an initiative at preventing the recruitment and use of the child soldier. To the highly placed officials, I could sense a smile on their lips that you want to take efforts to stop, prevent the recruitment and use of child soldiers. The implications are that those terrorist groups like Boko Haram, ISIS, and others recruit these child soldiers as per your wishes and your commands. And now you will stop them. Till now you were permitting them, but now we will stop them. That means you have been guilty of that offense yourself. That's amazing. How can you prevent somebody else over whom you have no control? This initiative by itself is ab initio wrong, because your writ runs where you have a control. Your writ runs within the country, or your writ runs even to some extent where the other country is willing to listen to you. But a country or a community or a group which is at war with you, why should they listen to you? This simple paradigm of life seems to have escaped the mandarins and the political masters in Ottawa. How would India contribute now? Let's see. The various scenarios can be worked out. One involves the offer of C-130 to the UN logistic hub in Uganda, Entebbe. You remember Entebbe was the famous place from where Israel had intervened in a hijack. The military aircraft would be used for transporting personnel and equipment. Where? South Sudan, Democratic Republic of Congo, and possibly Somalia. So, peacekeeping would also mean removing IEDs. IEDs are improvised explosive devices which cause bombs and bloodshed. The US is very much not happy, not enthused about some of the other options that Ottawa might be having. They offered helicopters for the mission in Haiti, which other countries, including Bangladesh, have already offered. So they are offering something which they don't need. Imagine a country like Bangladesh, which they say is an extremely backward country, which it is not, have stolen a march on Ottawa. Major need today is in Mali. Mali is a high priority area according to United Nations and the ground realities. And the peacekeeping operations there are the highest number of deaths that any other peacekeeping mission has. There's a growing terrorist threat and a peace accord that the country is struggling to implement. And therefore, Canada says, no, we will not send our army there. We will not send our peacekeeping mission there because our people can be killed. So you want to send your peacekeeping mission to Switzerland and Sweden? I ask this $1 million question from these guys. Do you want to send peacekeeping mission and you want to maintain peace where the warfare is there, where the danger is there? Or you want them to be sent either to Sweden, Switzerland, Norway, Denmark, peaceful countries, or to Antarctica or Arctic, where there's no war? Why this anomaly and why this juxtaposition of absurd with your claims? You know, there's a guy, Muhammad Anaf. He's the head of the UN Peacekeeping Stabilization Mission. And he says he'll welcome Canadians with open arms, but Canadians are withdrawing. The reality is that in case Canada admits and agrees to that, it's a multi-year arrangement, and Mali might begin only after 1920. And if they agree after 1920, they don't know whether they'll be in power or not. By that time, Jordan and Germany would have finished their mandate in that country, withdrawn their forces, and they'll be replaced, would have been replaced by Canada, had Canada agreed, but Canada must send its army either to the countries to annoy big powers like Russia, when they send to Latvia, who doesn't need them, incidentally. That we can take up another day. They have sent forces to Latvia, and Latvian government is very clear that we don't need them. But still the same. Now, Canada's contribution being what it is, and the way it was started in 2019, they are keeping quiet on that. The UN has again and again asked Canada to reconsider Mali, but till now, they have not agreed. Incidentally, Harjit Sajjan had gone to Mali last year. And they had also tempted Canada. They said, okay, if you send forces, we'll make Canadian the head of the peacekeeping mission. But they have not agreed as yet. So if Canada does agree to the Mali mission, it could include deployment of SIF, Griffon, and Chinook helicopters. But would they agree? That's the point. Now, this peacekeeping summit in Vancouver, and it was launched by Obama in 2015 to get the country's advanced equipment and technology. It paid off. It was good to start with. But now it is in dormant state. And as I said earlier, the peacekeeping proposal of Canada presented to UN is not in tune with the priorities of the UN. They have focused on child soldiers. As I said, the very absurdity of the claim that they will prevent the recruitment of child soldiers by the terrorist groups, as if those terrorist groups operate at the behest and the pleasure of the Canadian government. You see, there was a Canadian general, and he is very fond of that. So he took the initiative, Roman Dallaire, I'm talking about, and Dallaire says, has the Vancouver principles. So the child protection committee should be there. And after forces go to witness and commit violence, it's a necessity to stop their recruitment. But as I said, you can't stop their recruitment simply because that's not in your control. And they say what we can do is interact with the child soldiers, liaison with the schools and orphans to prevent abductions, and adjusting patrols in that area. As far as interacting with a child soldier is concerned, that's practically impossible because you are at war, and when the child sees you coming, he'll shoot you. If I look at the history, the child warriors in Africa, Liberian children as young as 88 years old, fought with Uzis and AK-47s, and in 100 days, 800,000 people were killed by these child soldiers. They were full of excitement, hatred, fear, and they were killing right and left. 800,000 people killed by the child soldiers. You may say you can go and talk to them. You know what has happened is the new assault rifles are very light, AK-47, M16, and they were used also in El Salvador in 1980s, where the child soldiers used them. But then, did not the UK, England use the child soldiers in the World War I as well? They were used, of course, for the medical duties and the dispatch duties, but children as small as young as 12-year-old was used by the Britishers in the First World War. In the US Civil War, under Abraham Lincoln, boys played a major role and as communication people. British Navy used them as powder monkeys. Their job was dangerous job of carrying gunpowder from ship's hold to the gun crews. In Ottoman Empire, boys of the age of 7 to 18 were used as elite infantry called janissaries. In Europe, page boys of 7 and 8 were used for military training and fought in the wars in 1450, even the Battle of Agincourt. So this has been, since the times immemorial, they have been doing it. They are used by all the people, by all the nations, because of their need. And you cannot stop it. The other proposals are equally zany, born out of and created out of context. Any proposal loses its meaning, howsoever laudable the objective may be. I do not deny that the objectives of Canada are pious and good, but are they relevant? Are they appropriate? Do they even meet the canons of common sense? The answer to all the questions would be no. I trust the government to wake up and stop making a fool of itself and making a fool of Canadians and try to make fool of the world as a whole. Stop being nice. Be Canadians. Be good. Do good. But don't try to impose yourself or your zany ideas on others. Thank you.